There's the X8, kind of laid out like it would be when it's finished. None of it's together yet. I am going to put basically all the electronics except for the antenna for the RC receiver in the main fuselage. I'm going to put a Dragon Link antenna out here. That's sort of my current plans. Let's get up a little closer and look at this. So to begin with, I'm told the CG on this is 440 millimeters back from the nose of the aircraft. So I don't think it's measured, up over this part. I don't think it's measured from here up here and then 440 back. I think it's 440 straight back. Just my opinion. If you measured it from here 440 this way, it would be longer and the CG would be more forward, but I don't think that's what they mean. So I'm going to leave the two pieces in half right now and take this and put it right here, even with the front. And 440 millimeters comes back to the leading edge of this masking tape right there. There you go. 440 millimeters from the nose of the aircraft. With that in mind, you can see I've got that ruler lined up inside with the center of gravity and pulling it out, and sort of got the wing lined up where the wing will go. And if you look, you'll see the CG is fairly far forward in the wing. So if I were going to keep the antenna coax and antenna on the CG, which when I put stuff in airplanes, I tried to do that when I add stuff that's not part of their original design. The best way I know to keep from causing greatest impact to the model by putting FPV equipment and telemetry equipment and camera equipment on it is to put it on the CG. So if I came straight out from here with an antenna, it's only going to go out a very short way. The antenna would be sticking out here. So I'm going to have to put the antenna in the wing behind the CG. I want the antenna to be like out here. And therefore I'm going to have part of it, its weight will be behind the CG. Maybe the airspeed sensor in the front will offset the weight of that. I am going to put the airspeed sensor in the front also. So now if we look real quick at an antenna, well, there's a Dragon Link antenna taped to that wing. The radiating element would be out here. Just one piece of coax back through that wing and going into the fuselage where it can connect with the RC receiver. I have another piece, an antenna. Well, this will go pretty far into the fuselage. Maybe let me offset some of the weight of it by putting the RC receiver itself on the port side of the fuselage. But other than that, I think all the electronics is going to go inside the fuselage. I'm planning on mounting the GPS module right next to the flight controller inside the foam. My first experiment with having the GPS, everybody else seems to be doing it without any big problems. A little bit of a nick in the wing right there on the corner out of the box. So that coax on the other side kind of goes through like this rather than through this channel for the lead for the servo here, servo connector. No, I'm just going to make a channel, new channel for the antenna underneath. So that'll be about the only thing on the wing that bothers me a little bit. The other thing that bothers me is this piece that you glue in. The reason it bothers me is you can see here's the slot and slot here for the spars. There's not much material outboard of the slot here or here. This is the channel for the servo lead. Kind of have to keep the glue away from that. I'm going to put a piece of tape down that, put the glue everywhere, and then pull that piece of tape off before I close it up with the servo lead in here. But not a lot of place to glue. That does worry me. And I'm going to use some contact cement, I think, on this foam, because it's like another one of my models where this contact adhesive works so well. But with it, once you touch two pieces together after they sort of dried, getting them closed like that real easily is not a simple task. But we'll attack that when we get to it. A lot of people take the servo horn up through the wing and bring it out the top and put the control horn here on top, so all the linkages on top. This fuselage is so fat in this area, it'll keep this up off the ground. And they've got a little piece of foam here for protecting the servo linkages. So I'm going to put the servo linkages underneath rather than on top. I know this will probably get knocked off in a heartbeat. After a couple of landings, we'll see. So as I've said, the majority of the electronics is going to go right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to deck the bottom part of this fuselage with crafter's plywood. Just little 1/8 inch crafter's plywood. You can get at any craft store, hardware store. I'm not even sure where this came from. 1/8 inch, 3 millimeters. This originally was a 2 foot by 1 foot piece. I guess it's almost intact here. Cheap. And I'm going to try to cut out a section for back here for the ESC. And I've seen a configuration where there's batteries in this area also. So try to have a way I can loop some Velcro straps through it, and then I guess hot glue this down, and then I'll put another section here just in the bottom where you can see these, not the hull. I'm not going to bring it up. I'm going to put it at this level down here. I'm not going to bring it up to this level here or here. It'll be right in this section here for the flight controller, GPS, etc. Another battery here, hopefully, with this as a retaining wall for the battery. Another battery here. Like I said, that's where I've seen one configuration. The batteries are pretty big. Using 6,000 milliamp hour 6S. Hopefully Maiden will be with one there. Might be with a smaller, much smaller battery for the Maiden. And then the configuration for 12,000 milliamp hours they've shown is a battery here and another battery here. We'll see what we can do with that, what weight that brings out. So again, another piece of foam here, a piece of crafter's plywood right in here, in case I need to fix something. I think that's better than trying to fix stuff to the straight foam. We'll see. And the other thing that's a little strange to me is this motor mount they sent with this one. It's plastic. But does it go in the airplane with this opening open and the motor in sort of inside there like this, or does it go the opposite way where it's like this and the motor's attached? If you can see that, the motor's attached to the outside of this. Currently I'm going to put it like this, mount the motor inside here and put it in the model with the opening to the rear. Again, there's not much information on this anywhere. I've looked and looked and looked at build videos and can't find any. So airspeed sensor up front, GPS flight controller here, RC receiver here, RC receiver out to the antenna. That also does telemetry. ESC, batteries. I don't think I'm forgetting any other electronics really. Yeah, that should be it. And the camera. Camera's going to be on the front part of the fuselage. I think I'm going to try to flatten a little place somewhere in here. This is fairly thick. You're not going to get it too flat. But I'm going to try to flatten a little place in this area someplace and put that camera in there. I may modify the little 3D printed mount. I've currently got that camera gimbal on, make it a little shorter. But I think that's what I'll do, is mount the camera and camera transmitter right here. That's it. That's going to be forward like the airspeed sensor is going to be of the CG2. Just have to put it together and see what it's like. I think it will work. I've never done one of these before, but had a lot of people speak right up on the YouTube and say, boy, I like those myself, which I immediately replied back to them, well, good, you can help me. So that's the plan currently. I don't know how much this plan will change as it goes forward and how much it'll stay that way. All right, guys. Thank you so much. As I was editing the video together, I realized there was one other thing that I could have worried about, but it turned out not to be a problem. I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get the flight controller to sit on the CG, but as you can see here, it's going to be fine. That's that Coyote Holy Bro flight controller I showed yesterday. I've learned to pronounce it a little better. So that's about the center of the board and facing forward and exactly where that flight controller needs to sit, in my opinion. So that's not going to be a problem. Got to worrying about that while I was putting the video together, but I see now by setting it down there, that should be fine.